Okay, here's an example of a sound horse before we induced lameness, and again, it'll be very difficult for you to see on the recorded version, but the purpose is just to show the report, which is on the right. And then you can see in this report the rays are short, so the asymmetry is very small, and they're not concentrated in any quadrant. And then you would look at these lameness variables and see that they are below the thresholds. Okay. You can use lameness locator to evaluate the lunge, but since the horse is naturally tilted while lunging, this results in normal asymmetry patterns. So established thresholds do not hold. It does not make much sense to evaluate lunging only in one direction in the initial examination. Instead, you lunge the horse to the left and evaluate, then you lunge the horse to the right and evaluate, and then you compare one to the other. You look for unexpected patterns and large differences in lameness variables between lunge left and lunge right. We and other laboratories have performed extensive lunging experiments on sound horses, and although it takes a little bit of study to remember, we know what patterns are expected in normal horses. And the lameness locator software has a dual report capability in which the user can simultaneously examine two reports, as here in this report, with lunge left on the left and lunge right on the right, and then you can compare the two to each other. This case shows a very strong right forelimb lameness in both directions, so it has a right forelimb lameness. And then it also has a pretty strong left hind limb lameness in both directions. You can use lameness locator to evaluate the results of flexion tests. It is best to collect a single trial of no flexion first, then you flex and collect and compare to this non-flexion trial. Then you basically just look to see if the lines for that limb that was flexed became longer or not. So in this case here, the horse started out, this is the hind limb evaluation before flexion, after flexion. Okay, the horse started out with a left hind limb push-off lameness because you see the red rays up on the left. Then after flexion, the rays on the left became longer, so this was a positive flexion test. You could also look at these lameness variables to see how they changed, how much they changed, to get a more quantitative evaluation of the positiveness of the flexion test. Was it a mild positive, moderate positive, strong positive? You could be more precise if you desired. Lameness locator can also be used, and in fact some current users think that it is actually most suited for this purpose, to evaluate the effectiveness of a block at reducing or eliminating the lameness. We know what the 95% confidence intervals are for all variables for repeatability. Change outside these 95% confidence intervals is real and not random. So the user can determine if the change is outside this interval that the decrease in lameness was indeed due to the block, not just random.